I should just record everything we say because everything we say is good.
Pure gold.
Pure gold.
I wanted you to begin recording. This is episode 6 of Out of Touch, a Whole Oats podcast. And not that we have sponsors, but just planting seeds. If you do any visual, any TikToks, this is Wildfang overalls, and I don't even have to get paid by them to promote their clothing because they're so good.
I am obsessed with Wildfang, and I actually have been looking at their jumpsuits. I think about it like probably once a week. I think I'm going to order myself a Wildfang jumpsuit, and then I go, I can't pull that off, and then I don't, but I think I'm going to.
You know what? I think you definitely should. So my twins got Wildfang vests for their batei mitzvah, and they're just so awesome. And then our dear friend Becca Roofer, producer of other podcasts such as The Bituation Room, she got them like a really lovely gift. She got Eloise a pant and a gift for Chloe, gift certificate. So I was like, you know what? I'm getting these, but anyway, enough about Wildfang product placement.
Another product placement we need is Quaker Oats. Let's put that out there.
It's actually the focus of today. We are going back to basics. You have Oates quotes and I have Oates notes, and although they're really, they're Whole Oats notes, but we're mixing things up again. Today because we're going to do a whole entire album.
A whole album. We're going to introduce a new feature on the podcast called the Syllabus, which would be the days that it's just the two of us providing facts.
That's right. In fact, I want to dive into the syllabus, but before I do, I'm starving and I have been waiting to get going with my breakfast. And because we've been recording early in the day, and it turns out to really mess me up when I start with a hard cocktail at 10 in the morning on a Saturday.
Surprising.
It's not that I'm not going to do it on some weeks. It's just that for today, we're switching gears and not doing the cocktail, but we have overnight oats. And in the spirit of sharing great recipes, which we have shared some great cocktail recipes, this overnight oats recipe is so good, and it's decadent. It's not like normal overnight oats. This comes to me courtesy of Dr. Stephen Chang, who's a colleague of mine, and he has many talents, but chief among them is being just like an incredible foodie. So these are the most decadent overnight oats, and here's the recipe. All right. First of all, you want to use like one of these cute little mason jars, but this one's small, so I recommend a slightly larger one. And then you're going to put in half a cup of oatmeal, 1 tablespoon of chia seeds, tablespoon of cocoa powder, and I recommend like high quality stuff, okay?
Of course.
Like 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, a tablespoon of Greek, it's all like 1 tablespoon, just, 1 tablespoon of Greek yogurt, a generous splash of maple syrup and vanilla.
Yum.
I forgot the pinch of salt. I forgot a lot of things. I didn't follow this recipe well. I was like, why is it so thick and dry? Okay. And then a cup of almond milk. And then you let it sit overnight. And what I'm doing is I've mixed it in a bunch of frozen blueberries, and I'm stoked.
Oh. See, now today on the podcast, we can do a feature about ASMR, which is Naomi, the sounds of Naomi eating her oatmeal.
Just.
See, now the kids will like it because it's ASMR. So that's good. Got that. Check that off the list.
Check that off. So now we can dive into the syllabus. I started the hard work of creating the syllabus, but I wanted to just like zoom out and say that we're already kind of into the syllabus because we've already been starting. We are scholars of Daryl Hall and John Oates, and I think we are really at week 6 of the syllabus, but in some ways we're going back to basics. So there's I'm an anthropologist. That's part of the approach to this podcast. And, my training was here in San Francisco at Berkeley and UCSF. So there is an anthropologist, the person who like first taught me my like theory class in my anthropology training is Dr. Lawrence Cohen, who's very brilliant, and I'd love to have him on the podcast at some point.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're thinking about this, Professor Cohen, think about it.
Think about it.
He has an approach to syllabi that I'd like to copy, which is like what he did is he kind of like plunged us into this really intense, like contemporary theoretical stuff that was super confusing. Then we began to go back to basics, you know, like after a few weeks. So
it's kind of like what we did with diving into something like Laughing Boy and then rolling backwards from there.
That's it. You know, we dove in, you know, with our first week of the contemporary, like, what are we even doing here? It's all crazy. But now we're kind of going to square one, which is 1972, which is the album Whole Oats. And I have a lot of notes and thoughts, but I just like to hear, you know, your initial impressions.
Well, when we first started doing this and we discovered Whole Oats, I was genuinely surprised that I had never heard of this album because A, it's their first one, B, it's got a genius title. And C, it's like such a vibe. Like it's that whole 1972 vibe. And I do have some comments as we go through the songs about a few very specific things that it brought up for me as I was listening to it. But I would say as a whole, I listened to it multiple times this week while I was working. And as a whole, it's a pretty satisfying vibe. What do you think?
Well, I'm not precisely on the same page as you. But there are things I appreciate about this album, but let's just back up for a second to the title. Because one of the most surprising things about the title is why it's spelled like the food and not like the man's name.
Yes, I wondered the exact same thing. And I think that it was probably because the marketing people, considering they were brand new, there's also an ampersand in their name. So that was no ampersand. So Daryl Hall, ampersand John Oates, Whole Oats spelled Oats. Many confusing things happening in a very few words. My guess would be that the marketing team was like, I don't know who these guys are. Let's just make it as easy as possible for people. We're going to call it Whole Oats. We're going to put a picture of oatmeal. We're going to put the word on the oatmeal. We don't want there to be any confusion about what the pun is. For those of you who may not really see what we're going for here, look, this is what we're going for.
Let there be no mistakes.
No mistakes. And I feel like maybe the marketing department was like, if we say OATES, everyone's going to be confused. And we cannot risk that. And I imagined all these like Mad Men suits sitting around a table like, I'll say, if we put an E in the oats, no one's going to know what's happening.
They did not have, the audiences were maybe less sophisticated back then. You really, this is a pun, people, it's a pun. Let me show you every way.
It's a pun. Have you heard of a pun? Let me explain what a pun is. I mean, this cover is like a visual representation of mansplaining. Like if you took mansplaining and made it a picture, it would be this album cover. But, I think it had nothing to do with our gentlemen. I think it had everything to do with the suits.
All right. Well, I don't know how we're going to do this, but like, I am hoping that, in your like high-tech editing garage, editing in clips so everyone will hear like a piece.
Yes, I will edit in song clips. And then high-tech is definitely a word that people use to describe me frequently. So we'll see how that works out in editing.
Well, I ended up going down a rabbit hole.
Oh, I want to hear about that.
The biggest gift of what I learned in my exploration of the album Whole Oats was actually about Arif Mardin. Did you go down that hole?
Well, in the very beginning, I went into Arif Mardin, I think because of Laughing Boy, perhaps, but don't quote me on that, people. But I think that's, I think that was where I started that rabbit hole, but then I stopped myself because I had other rabbit holes to go down.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me.
Let me just, share a little bit, and I'm just beginning to scratch the surface, but this is like the gift of digging a little bit. So he is an incredible music producer. He is Turkish American, or born in Turkey, so he's Turkish. And he came to the States in the 50s, like maybe 58. He is, I'm probably getting all of this wrong immediately.
That's kind of our jam here on the podcast.
So he is, so he's like, he was called by Bette Midler the greatest ears in town. But really what's amazing about him is he is like the sort of like the sound genius behind so many different musicians, like so many different musicians. So he started off, you know, with jazz, but he really like, he is like credited with like the sound of like so much of what we think about of like soul, funk, pop, disco. So like the Bee Gees, Hall & Oates, Phil Collins, Aretha Franklin, Chaka Khan. Like there was this interview with Chaka Khan where she's like, I wasn't even thinking about doing anything with like hip hop or like, you know, the sort of mixing and like until Arif Mardin. And so,
wow.
I mean, he's also like a scholar, like he has a degree from the London School of Economics. Like what everyone said about him is that like he helped everybody kind of be their best of themselves and like create this sort of like really like long lasting sound. So if you just scratching the surface of him and his influence is like totally amazing. And
yeah, he did Queen.
Yeah.
He did Phil Collins, Norah Jones, man. He did a lot of people.
Super incredible. And so he was one of the producers, and definitely I think the most interesting one. Not that I want to diss Gene Paul. I will mention Gene Paul, who's another producer. And what I immediately thought of, which turned out to be true, because, you know, the industry I think is very incestuous and whatever. But at any rate, you're like, Paul, what are, you know, music? Oh, Les Paul, the inventor of the solid body electric guitar. So this is his son. And anyway, they are the producers. They're on all the tracks. And that was really exciting. So I thought that Arif Mardin was super interesting.
Yeah,
Yep.
I started to read a little bit about him before when I was looking at one of the albums. And because I think David Foster did one album. I think they've had a couple of different producers, but he's the one that everyone really talks about as being kind of the genius behind a lot of the different sounds.
But I want to say that, I think we're on slightly different pages with this album. There's some stuff I like about it, so I'm definitely like ready to kind of dive into my track. And in fact, you know, with the first track, I was like, oh yeah, this is my jam. I like this first song. So the first song was, I think
Do you know why it's your jam? Because in my opinion, it sounds just like the Golden Girls theme song in the beginning.
It does not.
If you listen to it and then stop it and then go listen to the Golden Girls theme song.
Okay, so with your fancy editing technology, you have to do this now.
I have to do that because immediately I heard it and I was like, wait a second.
You're gonna have to put in the Golden Girls. So you're gonna have to put in this song.
Yes.
Thank you for being a friend.
That was a rabbit hole I avoided because I was like, oh, I want to know who wrote the Golden Girls theme song, who apparently I do know is a famous television theme writer whose name I can't think of right now, but I was going to go down that rabbit hole. And then I'm like, no, that's not information that we need today. I will do that another time. But that was my primary thought on the first song. I'm sorry.
I didn't see that coming. And that's fascinating. Yeah. I mean, I just think it's just a good jam. It's just a good jam. Could we just can I put it on for a second so I can remember it?
Yeah. Hold on one second. Thank you for being a friend. See? Why don't you write me? I'll be on the phone. I mean, that's a jam.
Travel in the world and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a
I'm telling you right now, I want a DJ that's gonna blend those two songs together for me. Please.
Okay. Yes. All right. I'm totally okay. I'm there with you. You convinced me. You convinced
me. Yeah. That's a solid song though. I like that song. I genuinely, it's got that like 70s, you know, shag carpet, hanging out with your friends doing macrame kind of vibe to it, right?
That's exactly what they were doing. They were hanging out doing macrame.
You know, I like the visual. I had to create, I have to create the story.
I think that's what they were doing on the Golden Girls. It's like a lot of conflation and confusion here. But anyway, all right, what about All Our Love? I didn't take any notes, so it didn't leave a big impression on me.
Yeah, I took no notes on this song, so it left no impression on me at all. Let's give it a little listen. Hold on. I mean, you know, it's. Why don't you pack? I'll take it back to the it's kind of a road trip song now that I hear it again.
Road trip, kind of like the Muppets on their road trip.
It's just like the Muppets. That was the best road trip of all time, the Muppets road trip. Are you kidding me?
Road trip.
Oh, that's okay. So yeah, now that I go back and listen to it, I think it didn't make a huge impression on me because the other ones had such bizarre impressions and made me think about very out there things. And this one was just like a solid little bop. I just kind of got through it.
Road trip song. Now the next track is the track of doom.
Georgie, all I wrote down was Georgie is a total bummer.
Remember, it starts out. Can we just play a little moment of it?
Yeah, hold on. Here we go. A little Georgie. I mean, already.
Georgie was a skinny kid, fond of angling.
I mean, leave Georgie alone, okay? Like, some kids are skinny. But then it just gets worse.
It gets so dark because he's like sitting there with the preacher's daughter and they're hanging out. And she's like, oh, I have a good idea. Let's like dive into the lake so my dad can't see us or whatever.
Right.
Her necklace gets caught on a branch. You don't like, this is like a left turn that I did not see coming.
Yeah.
And she freaking drowns immediately.
Yeah. I sent this song to my husband. I was like, hey, you should listen to this song. We're listening to it. And he wrote me back, and she died? ? I'm like, yeah.
Spoilers. Spoilers. She dies.
She dies. And yes, that is an actual line in the song. It's a complete bummer. And actually, at some point, we're probably going to need to do more of a deep dive into like
a deep dive, like
but don't wear a necklace, and find out who the Georgia person was. Because some of these songs, you know, not on this album, but some of the other songs that I got into this week, there's some very interesting stories behind them. There is one on this album that I searched around for that we'll talk about when we get there, but.
Okay.
Yeah, Georgie, my only note is that it's a legit bummer.
Yeah, legit bummer. Like, yeah.
But it's not melodic and beautiful, but it's just a real downer.
It's a downer. Now we're getting into another song. The next song, Fall in Philadelphia. Like, put a little bit of that on because I really like this one. This is like one of my favorites.
And the day is turning gray. There ain't much to say about the weather.
Yep. He's weather.
Well, and like, how many songs about weather are good? You know, like, and this one is.
Yeah, I mean, Fall in Philadelphia. Like, it's again like it's kind of like Whole Oats. It's like, let's just say exactly what I'm going to talk about. The fall in Philadelphia. This is what I'm talking about. Right. You know, Georgie, we don't know what we like. The title leaves a lot of mystery. We don't. It's not called "Girl Who Drowns."
Right.
It's called Georgie. Is what it is. What it is.
Yeah.
And I just think it's super solid. I like it. That was actually that was the only song, and maybe I liked it because it was the only song on the album I had heard before.
Yeah, and it did make me want to go to Philadelphia in the fall. I've never been to Philadelphia.
Had you ever heard any tracks on this album before we did this?
No. When it first started, I was like, oh, I've heard this song for I'm Sorry, but then I realized no, it was Golden Girls theme song. But no, I had not, and much to my surprise. And this song, I feel like I must have heard it. Like, I don't know how I could have gotten through my life without hearing Fall in Philadelphia, so I'm sure I have.
I know I heard it. But recently, I only heard it because of listening to like Hall & Oates radios on one of those streaming platforms. Right.
And it does have like a little dash of that Billy Joel vibe in there, that like, you know, leather jacket, out for a walk in my city kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that maybe if I have heard it in the past, maybe I just didn't know it was Hall & Oates.
Yeah, just like a lot of what we're finding of the phenomenon that there are people who think they don't know Hall & Oates, but they do.
Mm-hmm. You play a song and they go, "Oh, this is Hall & Oates." You're like, "Yes, this is Hall & Oates."
Yeah, yeah.
But it also, this album to me, one thing, just a general note that really occurred to me as I was listening to it, is one of the things our guys are so good at is reading the room. Like, this album is 1972. I think the guys that wrote this album, if you played Big Bam Boom for them, they'd be like, "What? We're not going there. Like, that's not a direction we're headed in."
That would be like a Back to the Future moment if you're like, "This is what's happening." Yeah.
Right. And they're like, "How do we stop that?" And we're like, "No, don't stop it." But it's interesting because you see, like, each album is different. They evolve in a different way, and they kind of like,
But this is like early 70s, so there's still a lot of 60s lingering around.
Yeah, for sure.
The next song is Water Wheel. Put a little bit of that on.
Water Wheel, I have to say something.
I don't want to play this on the piano. It's got a lot of fun.
You should play this on the piano. I cannot play the piano, but you can.
I heard you call me, water wheel spin round.
Okay. Does that not sound like Joni Mitchell? Is it just me? I actually had to stop when I was working and the song came on and I was like, my computer switched to a different album. Like, I was like, who? And then I looked it up. I'm like, who is singing the song? Daryl Hall. Daryl Hall singing the song.
Daryl Hall is a vocal chameleon and he can channel Joni Mitchell.
Yeah. I mean, I just so many Joni Mitchell vibes. I was like, this is one of
high notes though, man. He has got quite the range.
No, his voice is insane. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, they both have amazing voices, and just the fact that I didn't even recognize, I had to completely stop what I was doing and go investigate. And it kind of blew my mind.
Sure. I want to play that on the piano. That might be a goal.
Yeah, you should do that. You can post it on the socials.
In learning that song.
I think you can justify it somehow.
But maybe I should.
No, 100% you should.
All right, next we're getting into one of our favorite tracks. Can you put it on?
I like to call this song the husband's anthem.
It's a freaking good song.
It's a really good song.
Would you work for a reason? Lazy man, do your thoughts have expression? Lazy man.
I mean, lazy man? Yes, please.
My favorite line from the song, I texted it to you yesterday. Let me see. My favorite line from the song is your ass getting sore, lazy man? I love that line. That's another t-shirt. Right,
it is another t-shirt. It is another t-shirt. And so here's what's interesting. So I heard this song and I was like, this song is 100% about husbands, lazy husbands. And then I went and read the lyrics. Did you go read the lyrics?
I didn't. Lay them on me.
It's actually comes off as a dig against lazy songwriters.
Ooh.
So yeah, see, there's a line in here. Then you make a short edit and take all of the credit for the song.
Oh, sick burn. Who's talking about?
Exactly. So this is my rabbit hole I went down this week because I followed that sick burn, but there was no internet in the 70s. So these sick burns happened in real life and not on the internet, and therefore
about it.
But I'm here to tell you, if and when we talk to these people, this is one of my questions. Who is this lazy man? What is his problem? Is he the same suit that made the album cover? Lazy man, taking credit for the visuals. But yeah, it's interesting because that's when I read that and I was like, oh, actually, you're content to rely on the talented guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's a sick burn.
He's talking about whoever was his collaborator before John Oates.
It has to be, right?
I mean, it's obvious. Like he had some lazy man, and he was like, "Guess what? I'm moving into a whole new terrain now.
I'm out. I got a new friend.
Somebody who's going to actually do stuff." And
yeah, he found himself a doer, and now he and Hall were off to the races. And whoever that lazy man is, where's that guy? What's he doing?
Well, being lazy. You know what? You're making me think about something which I forgot to mention earlier in our sort of scholarly syllabus discussion, which is about the Daryl Hall and John Oates archives.
Yeah.
A, I don't know if they exist. B, I think they do exist. That's not really a list. And then C, we're adding to it. But this is the kind of thing, like, is there an archive? Should part of our scholarship involve going to the archives? I'm guessing it's in Philly. We will need to take a voyage.
100%. We have to go to Philly
at some point.
Yeah. And we need to record some episodes there. We need to do some nightlife. We need to go. I want to like go to Philly and like go to some clubs and hear some local music. Like I want to go hear what's happening in the town. I want to eat the food. I want to do the stuff. Like, the whole vibe of Live at Daryl's, the whole drinking wine with musicians and listening to good music. I'm so
that
down.
Sounds like when you go to Philly, you think, I'm gonna drink wine.
I'm gonna drink wine. I'm gonna hang out. I want to go to bars. Yeah.
Or no, it's in New York. I don't know. It's all East Coast.
I don't know.
Ignorant.
It's on the other side. That's all.
But this is the kind of thing that, if with forethought, if there were, like, you would hope that one of the entourage was jotting all of this down in like, on the scroll, so that when we go to the archives, we can like unroll the scroll and see what was going on in 1972 and see the notes or the notes in the margin. See, here's more likely there might be books, right, where they were jotting down the song and like, oh, I'm going to write this song about Joe Schmo because he's a total lazy man. He didn't write, he just let me do all the hard work.
Right.
We've got more songs to get through here.
We do. But that reminds me that I need to go to the Grammy Museum here. I haven't been yet. And it's supposed to be amazing. And I'm sure there's all kinds of Hall & Oates stuff there for me to see.
Ooh,
I need to go to there.
That'll be an easier field trip.
Yeah, much easier. Okay, next song, Good Night and Good Morning.
I like this one.
I like this one a lot. I feel like this one could come into like a rom-com at some point. Like, in the rom-com, the part where like the guy's in bed and he didn't go to the girl's show the night before. And so she thinks he doesn't like her, he or she doesn't like them anymore. And
I don't know if it's a rom-com, but it is like every great 70s TV show and movie all put together into that song. That song is great. And it's like that moment of transition. Like, it could be the laying in bed that you didn't go to. It could be like the friends, or the duo, they're having their time apart and they're kind of coming to their moment of like, but wait, I do want to do this together.
This is the song before the running in the airport scene. This is the song where they get up and they're like, oh, what did I do? And then they're like, no, and they put their pants on, and they run down the street. Like it's before that scene.
Yes. Yeah. This song like makes me want to be walking outside in an urban area in the 70s. Like,
oh man,
be there. It's transporting me there. It's a really it's a solid jam.
Yeah. Cup of coffee, sunny day, walking down the street. Yeah, it's a good one. Okay. This one, they needed each other.
I think I hate this one, but let me remember.
You think you hate this one?
Yeah. Oh, I put it on the horrible list. Okay.
Wait, here it comes. Ready?
I hate it already. What's that instrument?
Keyboard thing.
Let it play a little bit.
It is just too slow. It starts too slow. Is this the whole song? Oh, that's right. Okay, this is my number 2 Joni Mitchell song on the album, FYI. This is my second one that I wrote Joni Mitchell next to.
It could be, it could be Joni Mitchell, but you know, no disrespect, but that song gives me the heebie-jeebies. Not the heebie-jeebies, but the heebie-jeebies.
I feel like that's like if you've been smoking a lot of weed and you're laying on like a blanket in a park looking at the sun, maybe that works.
Maybe that's why I don't like that song. I was going to mention, for some reason, I thought it'd be appropriate to mention what my favorite drugs are. And I was thinking about that before. I was like, oh, I want to make sure I say this on the podcast, even though it's a feeling podcast, and because they're totally PG-13. My favorite drugs are caffeine and alcohol. So I was like,
you're gonna say Tylenol and ibuprofen.
well, no, because I was like, if I'm not having a cocktail, what I want to be, because I want to have some drug in my system to record this podcast. And so it's like I gotta like pound my second cup of coffee. So this is like, and then, so I love caffeine and alcohol, everything in moderation, people, but I don't love the marijuana. And I know that a lot of people, you know, will frown on me for saying that, but
they're going to frown on you.
Ample tries.
No, I mean, the way that I describe my relationship with smoking marijuana is this.
I like that we're saying the whole thing, marijuana.
Marijuana for the children at home. You know, in college, when I tried the marijuana, I remember I would smoke the marijuana. I would laugh for about 5 minutes. I would get super paranoid that someone was coming to get me, like police, or there was going to be some sort of horrible accident. So I would like hide in a corner for 15 minutes. Then I would eat a jar of peanut butter because I'd be starving. And then I would immediately go to sleep. Like it made me the least amount of fun. Like those are all the things you don't want to do at a party. None of those things are fun. And that was a lesson that I had to learn.
So we should find somebody who enjoys cannabinoids and have them comment on the song They Needed Each Other, because I think we're not qualified to comment on it.
I'm going to put out there that I want that person to be Seth Rogen. And if Seth Rogen will come up, wait.
That's low hanging fruit. That's low hanging fruit right there. Seth Rogen.
Come on. I love Seth Rogen. Are you watching the Pam and Tommy movie?
Which one?
Pam and Tommy, Pamela Anderson and Tommy.
I haven't seen it, but I have seen, for some reason, I am flooded and inundated with promotional things. So I've seen so many clips of it that I feel like I've seen it.
Seth Rogen is so good in that. And
well, his mullet is like, probably the thing, the mullet's going to get the Emmy or whatever.
He's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. Is your egg done boiling? Is that what that was?
No, I don't. We're going to see 3 Hour Batman today, and many texts are coming in around about 3 Hour Batman.
I saw 3 Hour Batman last week, so after you see it, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Okay, so now
we still have 3 more tracks.
Oh, I have one thing to add to the marijuana conversation. So number 1, Seth Rogen, please come on the podcast because I love you and I love your ceramics. Number 2.
If we can't get Seth Rogen, do you think we could get that curly mullet to come on?
Yes, just the mullet alone. I will also, I'll take James Franco. I love James Franco. Anyway, side note.
Complicated, and wasn't he taking advantage of his acting students?
I think that turned out to be not as bad as it was originally thought. It was a UCLA situation. So I heard a lot about it, but
all right.
I don't know what the end result was. So I will not claim to know. But on the conversation of marijuana, I am a human with chronic illness and I do have a lot of pain, and CBD is a lifesaver for life. So if you are a person that does not smoke marijuana, don't turn your back on it when it comes to medicinal use. That's all. Okay. So the next song is Southeast City Window. And I want to know, I really do want to know how you feel about the song because I have a thought on this song.
Okay. Remind me. Yeah, let's play it. Yeah, I put this under my favorite list. Okay.
Okay.
Riding out along the river, stopping by the pines.
The score is so good.
Right? Okay, so
this song, like I want somebody to play the guitar. I want to sing the song. I want to harmonize to this song. I love this song.
Did you see the Royal Tenenbaums, that movie?
I did, but I saw it like when it came out in the 90s.
There's a song in that movie called These Days by Nico, which I actually think was written by like Jackson Brown or something. I'm probably saying that wrong. But anyway, Nico.
You're mispronouncing Jackson Brown.
No, I mean, it could be a different person, not Jackson Brown. I feel like it's Jackson Brown. I'm sorry, person, if you wrote this song, if it's not Jackson Brown. But I feel like it was Jackson Brown that was song. But These Days by Nico, which came out in 1967, by the way. So it was pre this. And as soon as I heard this, it made me think of that song. So I went and looked it up and listened to it. And then I Googled Nico, and two interesting things came out of that Googling. Number one, Nico is German, much like Daryl Hall is German. So that was an interesting thing that I found. Number two, did you know how Nico died?
I have to tell you something.
You don't know who Nico is? Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna text you.
But let me just be honest here.
Okay. Nico is a singer from the 60s. Anyway, she was riding a bike in Ibiza.
It's not Nico Case, right?
She fell off of her bike and she hit her head. And a taxi driver found her and took her to the hospital. And the hospital was like, she's fine. She just has heat stroke. And then she died.
That's like Bob Saget. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's how Bob Saget died, right? He hit his head.
Yeah, but like I feel weird about Bob Saget. I still feel like there's more to Bob Saget than
he hit his head. I don't think there's anything more.
You think he just like leaned back really fast like you do to lay down and hit the back of his head?
He had I think he had a subdural hematoma, so hitting your head is no joke. We should probably all be walking around with helmets.
I feel like someone maybe like punched him in the back of the head and then laid him down in his bed and he went to sleep. You really think he did that to himself?
You think Bob Saget was murdered? Anyway, that's a very good song.
Yes.
For all of the guitar player, some talented guitar player that I know should play that song and let me sing along. I dream of being a backup singer.
We can do that. Maybe I can teach, have my kid learn how to play it and then you can sing along.
It's not an easy jam though.
No.
All right. Okay.
So
the next song is on my.
The next one, by the way, is called Thank You For. Harkening back to the first song. Mm-hmm. I'm just putting it out there.
Put it on a little bit because I can't remember why I hate it, but I don't like it.
Because it's one of the ones with like a 40-minute intro.
Bad Kermit.
Bad Kermit.
Thank you for spending one day.
Yeah, it's Bad Kermit, and I don't like it.
It's a sad sack. It's a sad sack song. That's why you don't like it.
Yeah,
it's valid for sad sacks.
It's a sad sack song, and I don't like it. Anyway, much respect to Daryl Hall and John Oates, but that is a song that I don't like.
I'm gonna make you a t-shirt that says that.
No, the final song is exciting because it's the first use of the parentheticals, which are a very prominent feature in the song titles for Daryl.
Yep, that's true. Lily, are you happy? And who is Lily? And is she happy?
And I'm loving the piano vibe here, even though, that's like.
Lily, laughing lady.
She's a laughing lady.
Does your smile disguise the tears inside?
I mean, like, look at the difference in vocals between that and the other songs. I mean, there's just it's two people, and yet
he's got the range.
Yeah.
I do think Lily is definitely like the companion song to Laughing Boy.
Oh, you think Lily is interesting?
Yeah, because she's, he's like, oh, she's kind of smiling on the outside, but like, what's really going on, And then just like Laughing Boy, I think your laugh's a lie, right? There's like.
So they're hanging out the Tenderloin together, is what you're saying.
Lily and Laughing Boy are on Leavenworth and High. Leavenworth with their, what was that instrument?
The didgeridoo?
The didgeridoo.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The keyboard that was like, I was supposed to know.
Was it a Wurlitzer?
Was it Fender move?
Was it a Yamaha? I don't know anything about keyboards.
They're Steinways, and they're just
Steinways, and they're Yamahas, And they're Wurlitzers. I don't know. Those are all the keyboard words I know.
Yeah.
Keytar. Maybe it was a keytar.
A keytar.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Maybe a harmonium.
or a harmonium. I'm sticking with didgeridoo.
We've made it through the album. It's 40 minutes. I think this is like a good, we've reached a good resting point. I think we can kind of I think we've done a good deal. Is there any, final commentary that you want the people to know?
First of all, I want to make a blanket statement, which is that I enjoyed this album more than I expected to.
Mm-hmm.
I can see it as an origin album for sure. I can see where it's, obviously the parentheticals, the puns, at some point the ampersand went away, it's definitely, this is a foundation album, right? This is down here. So yeah, I would say in general, yes. Would it be my top Hall & Oates album of all time? No.
Why this album is it didn't do well. I don't know.
This album was when they were with Atlantic, and then at some point, I think it was was it Abandoned Luncheonette, or was afterwards that they left and went to RCA, and then they started doing really well. I think it was after Abandoned Luncheonette that they left, and that's why they released Sarah Smile twice, if I remember correctly.
Oh, that's the mystery of. No, I thought it was She's Gone.
Or She's Gone. She's gone. Oh man, talk about a rabbit hole I went down this week about She's Gone. I cannot wait.
That's another.
I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just saying. Can't wait. Getting people excited, pumped up. Anyway, so what are your general thoughts on this album?
Like I said, for me, learning about Arif Mardin was the highlight, but there are some jams I'm going to come back to, and those jams are I'm Sorry, Fall in Philadelphia, Southeast City Window, and Good Night and Good Morning. They're going on the lists, and I'm going to get on my 70s coat and walk around outside and listen.
Oh yeah, 100%, absolutely. I have a couple good Oates quotes for you this week.
Yay!
The first one: we've been together since we've been teenagers. I can go away and disappear for 2 years, and when we get back together, it's like nothing has ever changed. And you know what that made me think of? It made me think of my relationship with you, because you're one of those people that I always say, we cannot see each other for 6 months or a year. And then when we see each other, it's
just we've never gone that long without having contact.
In college, we did for sure, because you were far away and there was no cell phones.
That's right. Pre-cell phones.
Pre-cell phone. So there were times that we didn't see each other for a while. And so I thought that was a very sweet quote. And then to go with this album and what I just said, the thing is, we've changed our style, but we've never changed the actual roots of what we've done. Their roots, Whole Oats.
Whole Oats and the roots. Roots is a word that John Oates comes back to quite a bit.
Roots and soul. Those are his two favorite words.
Those are his
hands down. And then this is my new all-time favorite John Oates quote. We need to make merch with it immediately. I don't know where it's from, but I can't wait to find out the origin of it. I am bad at math.
He said that this is an Oates quote.
I was searching
John Oates.
It kept coming up when I was searching for interviews about Whole Oats and interviews with whatever.
He's bad at math.
I don't know, but it kept popping up, and so I'm like, okay, you know what? It's
interviews. He's talking about being bad at math.
Yeah.
But you have zero context for why he keeps saying he's bad at math.
I have zero context. So I'm sure that there was some conversation that happened about something relevant. And I will find out what that is. But for now, just as a standalone, it's a pretty fantastic quote.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
I am also bad at math, but
I don't think you are, but I want to understand more about why John Oates thinks he's bad at math. And
I'm going to guess it has something to do with someone probably asked him a question about charts or albums or.
I think this is a tongue-in-cheek thing. I think he's like,
oh,
what if he was a cheap tipper? And then he's like, oh, I'm bad at math.
Cheap tipper. He's at the strip club making it rain, and then with quarters, and then he's like, sorry, I'm just really bad at math.
He somehow leaves a 5% tip, and he's bad at math, or it could be a reference to like contracts, right? Like he was like a deal that he was talking about where, you know, I get this percentage of that or this percentage of that, and like why he made out well or made out poorly. I'm bad at math. This is my hypothesis.
Those both make sense. Those both make a lot of sense. I don't think that they were probably like, hi, John Oates, how's it going? And he was like, I'm bad at math. Like, I don't think that's how the interview went. It's for Rolling Stone, probably, you know, it's one of those big magazines, but no, I think that was a pretty good quote.
Yeah. Solid. Yeah.
So we have some new guests coming up next time, some exciting guests on the way for the next couple episodes. So that'll be great. But this was fun to get kicking off on our syllabus, on our album syllabus.
The syllabus is a mind palace that will keep growing.
Oh, I love that. It's a mind palace.
That's a Lawrence Cohen quote. So I can't take credit, but hey.
You can today.
I'm gonna take it for today.
All right, everybody. We'll see you later. Bye.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel